Design was quite good, the quality wasn't. Put simply, Rover didn't make them very well. Now, some owners were lucky. The car rusted away long before it had a chance to actually disintegrate. But others, those who kept the car in a garage and waxed it to keep the evil rust at bay, had to simply sit by and watch as their beloved car disintegrated around them. Understandably, both groups of people became very upset. So upset, in fact, that a lot of them vowed that they would never ever buy another Rover again as long as they lived. Now, of course, today Rover builds its cars with a deal more integrity, but it is still tarred with the same brush that it earned for itself back in the late 70s. The country, nay the world, is full to overflowing with people who quite simply are not prepared to forgive or forget. It's hard to say what it was that put a firework in Rover's underpants. The Honda tie-up, privatisation, or maybe something as simple as better management. But either way, the cars they make today are way different to their rust buckets of yesteryear. This is the brand new 800 Coupe. Now, before we get embroiled in what it's like to drive, just cast your mind back a decade or so and try to imagine Rover making anything quite so radical. You can't, can you? You can't because it just wouldn't have happened. Rover didn't do radical things back then. Rover was about as adventurous as my grandmother, and my grandmother never set foot outside Yorkshire in her entire life. But their range today, I think, is just plain terrific, and this, their new car, is elegance personified. It's lithe and aggressive and beautiful and sexy all at the same time. Now, there's an old engineering adage which says that if something looks right, it is right. So is it? Is the new Coupe as good to drive as it is to look at? Under the bonnet, there's a 2.7-litre 24-valve V6, which is as creamy as the cream they got from the cows they used to make the seats. The 4-speed auto box slurs the gears like it's drunk, and the ride, for the most part, soaks up all but the worst of those unexpected potholes. Only the most serious enthusiast will note that at a lick, the curiously weighted steering conspires with the suspension to make it all feel a bit loose. And those same enthusiasts will be a little disappointed with the performance. Smooth the Coupe may be, but fast it is not. It'll barrel along at more than 130 miles an hour, but the acceleration is best described as lethargic. Keen drivers, then, will be better off with the equivalent Mercedes. But the Mercedes is German, and this isn't. And for once, you can actually say, I bought British, and yes, all things considered, I'm proud of it. But the best bit of all is this very grown-up interior. It's just like a gentleman's club. You have to wear a suit before you're allowed in it. With this piping along the seats here, it reminds me very much of a Rolls-Royce, as do the equipment levels. Now, there are so many toys provided in here as standard, it's probably easier to list the stuff it doesn't have. There's no microwave oven, and, so far as I can see, no ski jump either. Now, the last time we looked at a Rover 800 on Top Gear, it was the new 4-door saloon, and I criticised it for having a steering wheel that looked just like a large grey buttock. Well, Rover have responded to that with this, which looks like a large black buttock. But that's not important. What is important, they need to do something about this sunroof cover. It's very cheap, very tacky, very Ford Orion-ish, and it will not do. I suppose it would be faintly idiotic to expect that all this comes cheap. It doesn't. In fact, the Rover 800 Coupe will set you back £30,700, which makes it very nearly as much as the glorious 4-litre Jaguar XJS. But of course, the Jag is no good for the family man. For a coupe, the back is truly palatial. These seats are spectacularly comfortable, and head and legroom are very generous indeed. And the boot's huge too. So can a Rover cut it at this end of the market? On equipment levels, yes. On looks, definitely. On engine refinement, yes. And on practicality, well, put it like this. It's leagues ahead of anything else in its class. It even does 27 mpg, for heaven's sake. But deciding whether or not it will be a success depends on how you look at it. See it as the ultimate fleet car, the ultimate reward for the company man who's restricted to Fords, Vauxhalls or Rovers, and it's an emphatic winner. But for those spending their own money, it's a little less convincing. The problem is there are still too many people out there who think of Rover as a sort of music hall joke. And for them, a Rover that tries to take on Mercedes-Benz and Jaguar is even funnier than, well, funnier than a fat mother-in-law from Scunthorpe, eh? Very nice. If there was any justice in the world, this car would do well, even among private buyers. Despite its dicky handling, it's a car that someone who's prepared to forgive and forget can like a lot.